Hi, I just finished reading your discussion boards. I've been trying to keep up all week because there's quite a few students in this course. Basically, it's 3 sections, excuse me, of 111 that I put into one. I don't expect you to read all the posts, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get into the discussion board. First of all, good work. I was very pleased with the quality of the stories, which I think I sent out in a remind message. And I was also pleased with the quality of replies. A couple of things I'd like you to remember about the discussion board. Not sure if I had the first two things in the syllabus, but what I'd like you to do is add a salutation when you reply. Say hi, Nancy, or hi, whoever. And it just makes it a little more personal, like you're talking to a person rather than just to this kind of message that's kind of hanging out there in cyberspace. Sign your posts, let them know who you are. Yeah, they can look up at the to and from and all that stuff, but make it personal, make it friendly. You're going to be with these people for 14 more weeks, okay? There's no need to post any more than 5 times unless there's something really important you want to say to somebody. I can tell if you've posted 5 times that you've been very interactive with the board, and that's what I'm looking for. If you get there and my screen will only show me 20 posts at a time, plus their replies, or 10 posts, excuse me. So if you're... maybe it's 20. So if there's 3 pages of posts and you're on page 2, your post, then just read page 2. That way it kind of manages it for you so you don't go, oh my God, there's 372 things to read. No, there aren't. Just go to the page your post is on and go ahead and read what's on there. You can see the pages at the bottom. I don't know, maybe in the student view, and they don't really let me see that it just is a long string, but if so, find your post and read 5 above and 5 below. Your reply should be about 300 words. I let it go this time if you didn't write 300 words. And I'm not going to count each and every word for each and every post. But 300 words should give you enough to give in detail and advice in that amount. And any more than 300 words, you guys would be writing novels, and I don't want that either. Please read who replies to you. I think that's very important for you to know what kind of feedback you're getting. Later in the class, it'll be very important for you to read what students say to you because you'll be using them to improve your writing. Last, spell check and proofread. I let go some misspellings this time, but as we move on, especially in papers and on discussion board posts, there's no reason for there to be misspelled words. There's such a thing as called a spell check, and I would really like for you to use that. If proofreading, read your post or your papers backwards, starting with the last sentence. When you read them out of context, it helps you find words that you've maybe written twice or used the wrong word or missed a word. And that is a good technique to know too if you have run-on or sentence fragments. I want you also to take away from this discussion board how well your writing flowed. Flow is really important. And for some of you, I think this assignment was kind of fun. You kind of enjoyed it. It just wasn't your usual writing in an English class. Unfortunately, this week we get to that. But remember the flow. Remember how the ideas came to you. Remember maybe how good it felt to be creative. And harness some of that creative process as you move on in the course and read or write the new assignments, okay? Okay, another thing. Contact me through Remind. If you haven't signed up for Remind, get on there. You're going to miss information that's important for the course. I use Remind for changes in the course, which you may work ahead. But don't get too far ahead, maybe a week ahead, because sometimes I go in and I change assignments, and a student got in trouble last semester. She went through and did all the assignments, and I made changes, and she was mad. It doesn't happen very often, but if you're going to go, 3-4 weeks ahead, contact me so I can look ahead and see what I might do. Sometimes the changes come like from 1 week to the next, 1 week to the next. So you will want to, be careful how far ahead you go. If you want to read Hillbilly Elegy faster than 6 weeks, you may read it faster and put the logs, still 6 of them, in the Dropbox. That's the only thing for sure that we will be reading that you can work ahead on. Remind's going to be used for you to ask me questions. And if you want to talk to me, leave your phone number and a good time to call if you want to. This is important for me so that I can get in touch with you. Some reminders about the syllabus. If you miss 2 weeks in the first 7 weeks, I drop you. Use content to find assignments and instructions. If you do not go to content, you won't get my instruction. And by instruction, I don't mean just how to write or just what the assignment is and how to do it, but instruction on how to write. And that's done through videos, that's done through links to other pages. And you can't get that if you just go to your assignments. So go to content. View all videos provided. They are important to the content of the course. And again, as I said before, use spell check. There's no reason as freshmen in college, and I don't care if you're students in high school who are taking college credit, you're old enough to use the spell check and to check your work and proofread. You've probably heard this since kindergarten, all of you, even those of you in high school or in college that are college age or beyond. Use the spell check. Assignments this week. I want you to start reading Hillbilly Elegy, and I'll tell you, I found Hillbilly Elegy to be a fascinating book. His introduction at first gets a little, you don't know, it's the overview of the book, but sometimes it's more technical than the rest of the book in terms of explaining why he wrote the book and where he got his info and that kind of stuff. And that's important to read so that you know what the rest of the book is. It's sort of like if you were writing a paper, the introduction paragraph, except it took him more than a paragraph to explain what the book was about. And then the rest of the book is support for that introduction, where he basically told you, this is what my book is about. Then he shows you what the book is, and then he writes a conclusion. I'm asking you to do 6 logs, divide the book in 6 pieces, and do a log on each 6th of the book. You may read ahead. Place them all in the Dropbox. There is a quiz on the Guild Text, Chapter 2, and I want you to read that very carefully because it talks to you about how to come up with a thesis or the main idea and how to support it. You'll be using just the only time in the course. You'll be using Google to complete the assignment on page 50 in Gill. And if you think the assignment in page 50 in Gill is boring, yeah, it probably is. But it's one of those where you have to learn the skill on how to focus on a main idea. And I'll tell you, it's the only assignment I do use in this textbook. So don't, go, oh my God, I got to do all these assignments in this textbook. Nope, you don't. I think that's all I have to say. I do want to go through week 2 quickly with you. I have the due dates up here, and then when you go, and this is in content, okay? And then I have sort of a greeting for you, and it says a little bit like what I talked about in this video, really. And then there's your log assignment. See this little thing here? This little icon? That means Dropbox. It took me a long time to figure out what the heck that was. And so when you click on this, you'll not only see an attachment to that Dropbox, that's the instructions. Then when you scroll down, there's a place to add your assignment and upload it. There's a quiz. It is, oh, excuse me, it's not on part 2, section 2. Why would I have you read chapter 2 first? It's on the introduction in part 1, and please read the introduction. She has kind of a folksy style, and that's why I picked this book. This is the same thing that all those academic readers say, and all the academic rhetoric books say, but it's just a little simpler to read. 10-point true and false quiz. If you read the book, and you can use the book in the quiz, you should be able to pull out an easy 10 points. And then as you read, please write a brief summary for each section that highlights the main ideas. That's going to help you take the quiz. And save those notes. You never know when they're going to come in handy. Hint, hint. Okay, also, discussion board. You're going to do that assignment on page 50. And Gil, it's just an outline. You're not writing a paper. Do not write a paper. Do not write a paper. What you're doing is, excuse me, outlining your thesis and your supporting points. Just use a bulleted format. That's perfectly fine. And then you can choose 1 to 5 classmates, but I can tell you if you just respond to 1, you're not going to get a very good grade. The way I grade the discussion board is 5 points for the initial discussion and 1 to 5 depending on the quality and the number of posts. Don't make more than 5. There's no need for you to go any further than responding to 5. And don't pick the first 5 that you come across. As I said, find your name and read the first 5 above and the first 5 after, or if you're on a page of 10, then just read what's on that page. What that can do is narrow down the reading for you so you're not overwhelmed by it. But then respond to 1 to 5. 1 is not going to be enough. Don't do more than 5. Don't overwork yourself or me in having to read them. And basically it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, unless even if you post 5 and you haven't fulfilled the assignment in terms of how you were supposed to respond, you may not get the 5 just because you write 5. I'm looking at quantity and quality. I hope that if you have any questions, you'll contact me through Remind. I enjoy interacting with you on Remind, and we'll be using it for reminders and all sorts of other things. Take care now. Have a safe holiday weekend, and I will see you back in class on Wednesday.